everyone, this is Miranda with Restorative Pathways Counseling. Really excited to partner with North Terrace for this Survivor series. This week they've been talking a lot about marriage, and that happens to be one of my specialties. I work with a lot of couples. Restorative Pathways is a faith-based private practice partnered with North Terrace. We are literally in the backyard in the counseling house, and we are so excited to continue partnering through the rest of this series and talking about all of the things to come with parenting and stress management and coping skills and things like that. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about marriage. I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor who specializes in marriage. I'm trained in the Gottman method, and so we're going to be talking about the 6 healthy habits for couples that the Gottmans presented. You can find this sheet posted on the Facebook page for North Terrace earlier in the week to follow along. So I'm going to go in more depth about that. I also want to talk a little bit about the stigma with marriage counseling because I hear a lot about that. And then at the end, we're going to talk about the 4 different counseling services that we offer for couples. So let's start with the stigma. I hear all kinds of different things when it comes to people seeking out couples counseling, ranging from, we're fine, our marriage is good, it's not that bad, we don't need to go to couples counseling, it'll be okay, to, our marriage is completely without hope. What's the point of even going to couples counseling? It's too late for us. Or people who are seeking out services and thinking, there's something wrong with us. Why do we have to get counseling? Or we're getting counseling that really says something bad about our marriage. And so I just want to address those few things because none of that's necessarily true. It's never too early or too late to seek out counseling services and support for our marriages. With the divorce rate being 50% and higher and increasing for every marriage and divorce after that, and then also knowing from a spiritual side, we've got an enemy who is actively working against our marriages all the time. It's not something that we want to risk and just kind of let slide and hope for the best. That's not something we want to mess around with. So we want to intentionally protect our marriages and invest in them. And even if things seem like they're okay, we can come in to enrich our marriages. We never all have it figured out. There's always something that we can do better, and counseling can help us learn some important skills to just improve our marriage and make it better. On the other hand, it's never too late to seek services. I've seen some amazing, near miraculous turnarounds with marriages, whether they're recovering from some pretty intense and scary affairs or other serious issues. It is seriously never too late. We can always help as long as both people are willing to work on the marriage and show up. So I hope that encourages you to at least check it out. And like I said, at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about the 4 services that we offer for couples. And if you're interested, we'll provide more information on that. Okay, so let's talk about the 6 habits for the healthy couples. Like I said, this is posted on the Facebook page for North Terrace. You can scroll back and find that. To print that out, I would recommend putting a copy on your fridge or your bulletin board, wherever you're going to see it, because if it's not right in front of us, if you're anything like me, you're probably going to forget to implement it. So I like to look at these as columns on the sheet. You'll see 6 things and they're kind of stacked on top of each other and they're related. So the first column, we have the parting and the reunion. So your parting and reunion kind of bookend your day, which I really like. The parting is just a quick check-in with your spouse or partner where you're just asking, what's going on with your day? Just getting curious and connecting with them. And then the reunion is when we come back together. We're going to share a 6-second kiss. And then we're going to have a 20-minute de-stressing conversation. And there's a couple rules with that de-stressing conversation that are really important. One is, we're going to take 10 minutes each-ish. We want to make sure that we're not monopolizing the conversation and that both of us are sharing. So I know some people struggle a little bit to come up with things that they share because they feel like their day's kind of monotonous and there's not really anything important going on. So if that's you, I would challenge you to just come up with 3 things from your day that you could share. It doesn't have to be anything special, just 3 unique things. Maybe it's something funny you saw on Facebook. It doesn't have to be anything, mind-blowing. Another rule is you're never going to side with the enemy. So for example, if my husband comes home and he says, "You would not believe what happened at work today, so-and-so said this to me," siding with the enemy would sound like, well, what did you do to bring that on? Or what did you say to them? That's me kind of siding with the opposite person and turning against him. And instead, we want to be supportive of our spouses and partners. So turning towards them and saying, "Oh, well, tell me what happened after that." Asking questions and engaging and being curious. We're always going to be good listeners too. So that's what we want to do. The third rule is we want to make sure that it is actually de-stressing. So it's called de-stressing conversation for a reason. And that means no hot button issues. It's really easy to open up the door to things that cause conflict or tension and stress, and that completely defeats the purpose of having a stress-reducing conversation. So we're going to make sure that we're not talking about, just scheduling stuff or, like I said, hot button issues between you and your partner that you know are going to blow things up. This is about you guys being able to decompress, vent, share the good and the bad with your partner. So we're going to try to stay away from those. We can save that for other times. All right, let's move into the second column. So that column is appreciation and affection. So this is 5 minutes each for that. And I always joke with people, it's not like you're setting the timer on your watch and being like, okay, appreciate me for 5 minutes, go. That's not how that works. So instead, it's incorporating this throughout your day. Appreciation would sound like, thank you for doing the dishes. Even if your partner does the dishes every single night or cooks dinner or goes to work, going out of your way to thank your partner for what you notice them doing. We all notice that stuff that our partners do for us a lot of times, but we don't articulate that and verbalize that. And it's really important that we go out of our way to say that to our partners so that they know that we appreciate them and we see the effort that they're putting into our relationships. So the second part of that is your affection with your partner. Same deal. It does not need to be 5 minutes altogether. It certainly can be, and it can certainly be more than that. But we want to make sure that we're just incorporating affection throughout the day. It could be as simple as holding hands in the car, or giving each other a quick hug when you're passing by, or a little brush on the arm or something like that. It doesn't have to be anything major, but incorporating physical affection does a lot for our relationship, just in those small doses. The last column that we have on there are our date night and our State of the Union, or what I like to call the marriage meeting. So with date night, I've got a couple rules for that too. So date night needs to be at least 2 hours. It does need to be quality time and alone time. So family time is great, time with friends, great, but that's not date night. It's not quality time where you guys can connect on some of potentially deeper issues that you may want to talk about that you don't get to talk about because of the chaos of the week. So this is the time that is protected for you, that you can look forward to as a couple, where you can check in. I would make sure that you're having fun with each other. Your friendship and your relationship is so, so important. That's one of the key indicators to relationship success, is your friendship and your relationship. So if you're not setting aside time to have fun with your partner and to be friends with each other and to actually like each other, then we already know our relationship's heading down a bad path. So 2 hours, quality time. And then another rule with that is it needs to be planned in and protected. So we don't need to necessarily plan what we're going to be doing for date night, but we do need to know when we're doing that and make sure we're communicating that with our spouses. I don't know how many times that's happened where one person has it in their mind that like Saturday morning we're going to hang out, but they don't tell their partner that, and then their partner accidentally schedules something else with their friends or their family, and then they're upset because they miscommunicated and they didn't meet each other's expectations. So if we say Thursday night at 5, we're going to go to dinner, we're going to hire a babysitter to come over for a little bit, that's going to be our date night. That's protected time. And just a tip, let's say your child comes home and they forgot to tell you Thursday night at 5 was parent-teacher conferences, and so now date night can't happen. We don't want to just push that off our calendar. You want to make sure you protect that time and put it in somewhere else. So if Thursday at 5 can't happen, when can it happen this week? We want to make sure that we're not letting date night keep getting pushed off, because I know how easy that is when life is busy. But again, that friendship is so important in your relationship. The very last thing on those 6 habits is our State of the Union or marriage meeting. So you have a couple options here with this. Really, the goal is to check the temperature of your relationship. Kind of do a relationship status check, seeing how did we do this week? What's going on? Do we need to talk about anything? What could we be doing better? What do you need from me? We can do that on a weekly basis, or if you feel like you're going to forget, then you can do it on a daily basis to make it a more consistent habit. If you're going to do it on a weekly basis, I would make sure you're setting aside an hour. You may not take that much time, but set that aside to just touch base with your partner, talk through things. If you're going to do it on a daily basis, just a quick check-in. One of the things that my husband and I do is 2 good things that happened that day, 1 bad thing, and 1 thing you need from me moving forward. It's a really easy marriage check-in. It doesn't have to be that in-depth, and as long as you're communicating frequently about issues that are arising in the marriage, you don't really have to set a ton of time aside intentionally to process through that, because it's going to be coming up throughout the week. So again, you have a couple options there with your State of the Union or marriage meeting. So those are the 6 habits. This is something that I usually provide to couples at the end of our counseling as a maintenance plan. And what I tell them is, when you are leaving counseling, if things start to feel a little rough and rocky, this is the first thing that I want you checking in on. Are you doing these 6 things? If you're not, then that's what I want you to work on. That's your homework. Start implementing that. If you haven't had date night in 3 months, plan a date night ASAP. If you can't remember the last time you had an in-depth conversation about your day with your partner, plan that tonight. It's not too much effort to just slide a quick conversation in bed before you go to sleep. So this is our maintenance plan for marriages. Now, if you feel like your relationship is in a pretty good place and you're just looking for marriage enrichment, this would be a great place to start. Assess where you're at. I know a lot of people, when I go through this with them, they usually find a couple things that they do pretty well on this. Like, oh, yeah, we always have a conversation in the evening about our days. So check, we're doing that. Or we're pretty good at date night or physical affection. I'm sure there might be something on there. And if not, that's okay too. That happens. But that can bring some awareness to your relationship of where you can start focusing. Now, if your relationship is in crisis, or you feel like, I don't know how to have a conversation with my spouse, I feel like they never listen, or I don't remember the last time that we were physically affectionate with each other, and that's been a huge issue in our relationship. If there are particular struggles that you're having addressing any of these 6 habits, where it might be a skills-based thing, this will not be enough to resolve that. And we don't want to put a Band-Aid over any serious issues. This is when I would highly recommend coming into counseling. And remember, it's not we're going to wait until the marriage is falling apart and we're on our last leg here. We want to make sure that we're coming in as soon as we recognize there's an issue that we don't know how to resolve. That would be the key. I share with people transparently that my husband and I went to marriage counseling 3 weeks into our marriage. And that was because, as a marriage counselor, I don't want to risk this. I don't want to risk unresolved issues causing tension. And it wasn't like anything was that bad. We just got married. Everything was great. But we knew that there were a couple issues that we just couldn't figure out how to navigate together, and we needed a third-party person to give us a little bit of insight, maybe refine our skills a little bit so that we could connect with each other. And it was great. It was super helpful. We were glad that we did it. It was a great investment of our time and money, and we had no regrets about that. So again, I don't want people to think that, it's too early or it's not bad enough yet for us to do that. Please, the sooner you go in, the easier it's going to be to address that. I like to kind of compare it to medical care. We go into the doctor for our yearly preventative appointment, or maybe we go even more frequently than that, just to say, is everything okay? Do you see anything of concern? And we can do that in marriage counseling. We can do a relationship checkup. We literally have an assessment called the relationship checkup, and we can do that and say, here are a couple things that I see that might be concerning. It might not be causing issues yet, but we might want to keep an eye on that. And here are a couple things that you can do to address that to prevent it from becoming an issue in the future. If we get sick, we don't wait until, we can't get out of bed and we are so ill to go into the doctor. If we notice something, we go into the doctor and we say, I don't know if this is anything serious, but could you help me and give me any advice for treatment? And again, that's exactly what we can do in marriage counseling. And if you are on your deathbed and this is just like the last limb, it's still not too late. Like, we can go to the emergency room of marriage counseling and we can do crisis intervention. And we have a lot of great tools and skills to help walk couples through some of those most dire moments. It's never too late. Okay, let's talk about the 4 services that we offer at Restorative Pathways to help couples, regardless of where they're at in their walk in their relationship and what they're struggling with, or where they're doing well and they just want to thrive in their relationship. The first option for counseling would be just our typical week-to-week or bi-weekly individual sessions where you would sit with me for an hour. I would do a thorough assessment of your relationship, develop a treatment plan, and then I would help you one-on-one work on whatever you want to work on in your relationship. So that's the standard marriage counseling option that most people are familiar with. So a couple of the things that we're rolling out, our next options, would be group counseling and our group retreats over the weekend. I'm really excited about these because it's going to give a different viewpoint than what individual counseling would do. Individual marriage counseling is great, it's effective, it works, but doing a group counseling session, whether it's in a bi-weekly, we would meet 2 hours for that session, we'd meet every 2 weeks, or in the weekend retreat where we meet over 2 days and we knock everything out in that time. It's about the same amount of time, about 12 hours that we would get in counseling. The difference in that is part of it's going to be education. Regardless of what type of counseling you do for marriage counseling, it's going to be education based. We're going to talk about different skills to resolve conflict. You're going to learn different tools and interventions to help you through certain situations. You're going to be learning communication skills and taking breaks and relaxation and different things like that. So that education component is still going to be the same. And then there's going to be a certain component where each couple participating would get an hour working with me individually in front of the other couples. And I know for some of you that may make you want to throw up. I get it. Being vulnerable in front of another group of people might be something that you're like, no way, not for me. But let me tell you the advantage of it, because there are times where we have blind spots in our personal lives, in our marriages, that we just can't see what the issue is. And one of the benefits of watching me work with another couple while you get to be a fly on the wall and you're watching them apply the skills that you're all learning in couples counseling, or not apply the skills that you're learning, and you're seeing the errors that they may be making in communication, you're seeing me intervene with them. It provides just this outside perspective that you don't get in one-on-one counseling. It allows you to see that and raise your self-awareness, and allows you to implement the things that you're seeing much faster than if we're doing one-on-one counseling. Again, one-on-one counseling is great, but this is going to provide a whole new perspective to what you would typically get, and I'm hoping this will provide a lot faster results because of that. So we've got our groups that are meeting bi-weekly, and our month or our weekend retreats that will have 5 to 6 couples getting together to participate. And again, it's education and then the one-on-one and observation. Our last option is private couples retreats. So in a similar format, you would get 12 hours of couples counseling. We can do a 1-day counseling session or a 2-day counseling session, and we do it in 3-hour blocks. So I know 12 hours of counseling back to back, that seems really overwhelming. I know. I promise that my job is to make it not feel overwhelming. So we do 3-hour blocks of time. We take plenty of breaks. The 1-day session is to help us get a boost on marriage counseling. This is a great option for couples who have a hard time fitting things into their calendar. If you're really busy and you have no idea how you're going to fit in week to week or every other week counseling sessions, we can schedule 1 day where you'll come in, we'll knock out as much as we can, and then that'll at least get us started on things. The 2-day option is meant to completely replace couples counseling. So again, we meet in 3-hour blocks, we take plenty of breaks, but this gives us an opportunity to really dive in deep to address any issues that you're having. And it's meant, like I said, to replace that week to week. So ideally, we get through that one weekend, you're pretty much done with counseling. We'll schedule a follow-up session just to check in and make sure that everything's going okay later on down the road. We'll schedule sessions as needed if we need to refine any of the skills that you're learning. But this is a great fast track option, like I said, for busy couples or for couples who really just want to get in there and work through things. They don't want to wait week to week. Every option that we offer requires a thorough couples assessment so that I can get to know you as a unique individual couple. Every relationship is different, so we're not just going to throw things out there and hope that something works. We use a very targeted approach that is individualized towards you and your relationship, and I need time to understand those relationship dynamics. So that assessment process is 3 to 4 hours, and we can do the week-to-week process, or we can get that all done in one chunk and then pursue whatever option we feel is best. So if you are relating to any of the things that I've said today, if you're one of those couples that's like, we would really like to just get things checked out and we want to see what's going on, and if there's some things that we can do to improve our relationship, great. If you're in crisis, no worries. If you guys want more information on any of the services that I've mentioned today, you can go to our website, which is going to be posted in the video here, restorative-pathways.com. You can call our office, 740-214-6443. We can give you any information that you're looking for. We can answer any questions that you have. We'll make sure that you get matched up with the right solution for your relationship and what you're dealing with in your relationship, and we will help you guys get to a thriving marriage.